Mark Bagshaw. Dr. Bagshaw is Managing Director of the Innovate Consulting Group, a company specialising in complex national and international structures, systems and process re-engineering projects across the government, business and community sectors. Prior to his present role, he spent more than 25 years at IBM Australia, where he held a number of senior roles, most recently Business Development Executive for Australia and New Zealand. He also holds numerous community-oriented positions and is presently co-founder and chairman of the Ability Australia Foundation, judge for the New South Wales Premier's Teachers Scholarships, and board member for the Centre for National Research on Disability, among many other roles. In 2001, Dr. Bagshaw received the Centenary Medal for his service in improving the employment and career options for people with a disability. Dr. Bagshaw, it's my very great pleasure to welcome you here to the University today and to invite you to deliver the occasional address to our most recent group of graduates.
Chairman of the Academic Board, Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences at Sydney University, distinguished guests, graduates, new graduates of the University of Sydney. It does feel extremely good to be able to address you in that way, and family and friends and others in the room here today. Congratulations. What a wonderful, wonderful day this really is. I recall back to my days many years ago, more years ago than I care to remember, when I myself was in this same beautiful venue receiving my degree. Back then, interestingly, the Chancellor of the University needed to walk down these steps to present me with the award because there was not a lift like this that brought me up onto the stage. So things have changed a little over the years for people like me with disabilities. But this really is an amazing, transformative day in your lives. Many things will change for you all from here on in. For many of you, this will be the first time you've been in the workforce, at least in a professional capacity, and that's a very significantly different thing to being largely a full-time student, as most of you have been up until now. Other changes that might happen, you might change your living situation, lots of things will change from here on in. But the most significant thing that will change for you, for most of you at least, is that you almost automatically become a privileged member of society. Graduates of universities around the world, and particularly of such esteemed institutions like Sydney University, are almost automatically privileged members of our community. Now that's a privilege that is well deserved, not just for you, for all of you in this room here today. I look across at the families and friends of the graduates here today, and if your experiences were anything like my mum and dad and my sisters were during my somewhat turbulent days at university, then I suspect you deserve as much congratulations, in some cases at least, as all the other graduates in the room here today. But the biggest transformation that's going to happen related to the privilege are the things that privilege will bring to your lives. I understand myself personally what it means to be a privileged member of our society. That privilege is not brought to you just because of your degree. For many of you, there are other privileges that you've experienced in your life. One of them is the fact that you were born with a level of intelligence, clearly, that's taken you through this process. All of those things are privileges that people experience in their lives. But the privilege, as I understand it myself through my own experience, what that brings, for me, it's brought certainly some financial privilege. I lead a very, very nice life, and I understand what that feels like. The greatest thing that happens with that privilege, though, and I've experienced it to an extreme level in my own life, is the privilege of choice. I can choose largely how I live my life, what I do in my life, where I live. Basically, most of my life is under my control. And it's under my control because of the privileged position I have experienced in society. You will share that privilege with me and other graduates of universities around the world. With that privilege, though, comes responsibility. I think we all, every human being, has a responsibility to contribute what he or she can contribute to building a better society. There are only two factors that create everything our world is. Everything you see around you, everything you experience, every aspect of this society we live in are created with just two things. The raw materials we extract from the planet, and as we're well knowing now, that's becoming highly problematic that we have depended so much in our modern societies on extracting the abundant environmental wealth of our planet to make our society the way it is. The other element, though, are the human resources made up of every individual in our society. And it's the combination of those two things that makes the world the place we live in. The careers that you've chosen will not necessarily, as I'm sure you're aware, or certainly not automatically bring you the financial trappings that some other graduates of this university are likely to experience. But they will bring to you enormous other advantages in your life. One of the things that your chosen profession, perhaps the most important thing that your chosen profession brings, you are in a unique position in our society. Unique position because you're at the crossroads between those in our society who are privileged, and you are a member of that group, but your chosen profession will see you spending the majority of your professional life working with people who are not privileged to the same extent that you are. People like me who have a disability, who struggle every day to contribute what they can contribute to our society. And that, to me, makes the profession you have chosen to be the noblest of professions. I believe that you are the most important people in our community because you have the skills to be able to help those who would otherwise be able to contribute what they have to society. You have the skills to enable them to do that. Those skills are empowering skills, but they put you in an enormous position of power. Engineers, scientists, all the other graduates of the university who are operating their lives and their professions at the privileged end of society will have a certain level of power and influence over the world they live in. But you will potentially have far more influence on people's lives than they will. Now that's a very privileged position, but it also carries with it enormous responsibility. You have gained the skills now that you need to be able to help people become the people they aspire to be. But that's not enough on its own. Those skills that you've now gained, if you're an occupational therapist, a physiotherapist, or any of the other sorts of roles that you will now be performing with your qualifications, important as those skills are, in my view, they are not even the key empowering things that people that you'll be dealing with who are often at the opposite end of society spectrum, who are the disadvantaged end of society spectrum. They're not necessarily the things that will make the greatest difference to their lives. They're important. The things I learned from occupational therapists, physiotherapists and so on in my early days with a disability. I was injured when I was 16 years old, and I went through a process that many of you will be now leading. And I understand firsthand how valuable that is. But what is more valuable is the way you present everything you say to the people that you work with, everything you do, the way you portray yourself, the entire culture of the way you behave will be enormously influential. Every time you speak to a client that you're working with will have a profound impact on that person who is, when you see them, at possibly the most vulnerable period of their entire lives. And I implore you, as you do that, be truly aspirational for the people you work with. We have for far too long in this area of social disadvantage had low expectations, low aspirations for people who are identified as being disadvantaged for some way. And while it might be on paper a nice thing for our society to be, inverted commas, caring for those who are disadvantaged, that doesn't help people who are disadvantaged to get back on the rails. It does not help. And given your absolutely critical role, it'll be the words that you say, how you say those words. If they are truly aspirational words, those words will make more difference to the people whose lives your lives are going to be spent with. Will make more difference to those people than just about anything else you can do. I think you've set out on a truly noble profession. I think it's wonderful what you've done. It's wonderful, I'm sure, what you will do. My heartiest congratulations for your efforts. Well done, and the very best luck in your professions.